at the core. We're at part 7. My goodness, can y'all believe we preached 7 of these things? Oh my gosh, it's a lot. Well, if you're on YouTube right now, I just want to say what's up. What's up, my YouTube homies? And also, if you are a first-time guest, I just want to say welcome. I'm super thankful that you're here. Oh my goodness, you could have gone anywhere, but you made it here, and we're super honored, super thankful for that. And so, for real, I'm talking to you. If you think I was talking generally, I'm speaking to you, and I'm saying thank you. You're super awesome. Before we go on today, I just want to introduce you guys to the newest member of our church. This is Wellington Burkins, right there. Yeah, so that's my new little puppy, me and Rose, new little puppy. Yeah, we have another picture of him. It's even cuter. Yeah, you can't handle it, I know. Just think living with him, what that's like. Like, it's this all the time. It's too much to handle. Today was his first day ever being by himself, so say a prayer for little Wellington today. We did not want to come to church today, but we are here. I mean, honestly, I just wanted to bring him with us, but we couldn't. But yeah, he's super awesome. He is a toy toy Australian Shepherd and toy poodle, and so he is shorter than my boot. If you can imagine that. So he is so tiny, but he's pretty awesome. All right, so let's get into the Word. I just want to introduce you guys to him. We're super thankful. Man, he's my birthday present, by the way, so that's pretty cool. Really awesome. All right, here, Bibles, let's open up to 2 Kings chapter 13. 2 Kings chapter 13. We're going to finish up the series. We're talking about passion is our non-negotiable. Passion is our non-negotiable. Super excited to dig into this today. I hope you hear this with fresh ears. I know that passion is something we kind of have heard about before. I hope you hear it with a new take on it today. I'll do my very best to get us out on time today, get us out before 11:30. Yeah? Yeah, let's do it. All right, cool. So, 2 Kings chapter 13, this is where we're starting verse 14. It's on the Sky Bible behind me. It's also on your glowing Bible, probably on your left. So here we go. When Elisha, this is the prophet of God, Elisha, the prophet Elisha was in his last illness. King Jehoash of Israel visited him and wept over him. My father, I see the chariots and I see charioteers of Israel, he cried. Elisha told him, get a bow and some arrows, and the king did as he was told. Elisha told him, put your hand on the bow, and Elisha laid his own hands on the king's hands. Then he commanded, open that eastern window, and he opened it. Then he said, shoot. So he shot an arrow. Elisha proclaimed, this is the Lord's arrow, an arrow of victory over Aram. For you will completely conquer the Arameans at Aphek. Then he said, now pick up the other arrows and strike them against the ground. So the king picked them up and struck the ground 3 times. Let me say 3 times.
3 times.
But the man of God was angry with him. You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times, he exclaimed. Then you would have beaten Aram until it was entirely destroyed. Now you will be victorious only 3 times. Then Elisha died and was buried. Let's pray this morning. God, thank you for today. God, thank you, Lord, that you've got an awesome word for us today. God, I pray you open up our ears to hear you, our hearts to receive you, God. And Lord, I pray, Lord, that you would speak directly to us, God. Remind us, God, of our passion. God, remind us why we do what we do. And God, give us a fresh passion for serving you in the kingdom. In Jesus' name. You believe it? Would you say amen? Amen. Amen. So we say passion is our non-negotiable. Now, I want to recommend this, but I'm going to use an Urban Dictionary version of passion is our non-negotiable. If you've never been on Urban Dictionary, do not go, okay? I just typed in passion definition and it just happened to be one of the main top ones. Here we go. This is like a custom, what someone said on their own. So this is what it says. Passion is when you put more energy into something than is required to do it. It is more than just enthusiasm or excitement. Passion is ambition that is materialized into action to put as much heart, mind, body, and soul into something as possible. Now, I agree with that completely. That when we have a passion for something, that a few weeks ago we talked about excellence, right? We talked about how excellence is our normal. We talked about how we do excellence, we do it all in, go all in. But I would say this, if you do something with passion, Excellence is just a byproduct. If you have a passion for something, you'll go all in, no matter what. But if you don't have a passion for it, then you can do it with excellence, but it's going to be a struggle. And so, if we have passion, excellence is a byproduct. And honestly, if you have a passion, and you have a passion for God's kingdom, every other one of our values, which is Jesus, people, excellence, honor, generosity, and what we talked about last week, do what? Legacy. Ooh, all those things will be a byproduct of our passion. If we love Jesus, we have passion for Jesus, and all those things, we'll have passion for those things. And so, we said this. What we're going to talk about today is a little bit different when we talk about passion. We're talking about this. That passion is fueled by your why. Everybody say my why. I know, it's a weird thing. So the why is this. Why do you do what you do? But more than why you do what you do is why do, or what you do, or why is what you do important to you? I know, I wrote that really weird on my notes. Okay, so I was reading it, and it says, why do is what is important to you important to you? I have no idea, okay? And so, I was trying to write, but why is what important? Why is what is important to you important to you? You know, I mean, for instance, some of the guys in here, you love sports, you know, sports. I know, I love sports too. I'm not a big sports guy. Britta be making fun of sports, so when we turn on sports, she'll yell, do the thing you do. go score the points. And so we're not really doing sports, but I know some people are. But have you ever asked yourself, like, if you're a guy and you're like, why do I love sports? For some of us, maybe your dad likes sports a lot, so that was like your best way to connect with him was through sports. So now you love sports because you're just like, man, this sports for dad. Or maybe sports for you is like, this is like the greatest thing, most awesome activity that you did in high school, and you just want to relive your high school years now. So whatever, I don't know your thing may be, but why? You know, I think we do a lot of things. We're passionate about a lot of things. We never really ask ourselves, why am I passionate about this thing? And some of us, I think passions can just basically start with the fact that, well, I'm naturally talented at this, and so I don't like to look dumb, and so I'm going to do the things that I'm good at. And I'm going to make those my passions so I look great at doing everything. Because that's me. If I'm not good at something, if I'm not going to win, I'm not going to play, okay? And so if you challenge me at like soccer or something, I'll say, I don't really like soccer, you know, I'm not in shape. It's not that at all, but I'm not in shape either. But it's not that I don't like soccer, it's just that I'm not good at soccer, so I'm not going to play with soccer because I know you'll win. Especially if you're the one who brought up soccer, like, hey man, let's play some soccer. Like you show up and you have like the shin guards and stuff. I'm just like, okay, no, I'm not gonna play even the soccer. Like, I'm not gonna win this. But passion, like, why do you do what you do? And so I would say this: your why can lead into some pretty weird whats. And meaning this, like, have you ever seen a teenage girl? If you're a teenage girl, I'm really sorry, I'm gonna pick on you for a little bit, but the teenage girl who changes their interests with their boyfriends. Have you ever seen that? You've seen it. Don't lie. You know. If you're not admitting it, you were that teenage girl, and I'm on you. Okay. For instance, like the teenage girl is like, I love screamo bands. I just love them. And you're like, no, you don't. Okay, you do not. Or maybe they really do, but you're like, okay, you like Justin Bieber a whole lot like last week, and now you're getting this guy. Now you like screamo music. Okay, whatever. Okay, or this is like a classic. I love video games. I'm just a gamer. I just play games in my house all the time. You're like, okay, no, your boyfriend likes video games, and you like him. So now you like video games. And so, honestly, the why for most teenage girls is not that they like any of these things, but they will make them into a passion because I love my boyfriend. And isn't that true for some of us husbands and wives, that we do things and we can make ourselves passionate about certain things, not because we care at all about what the living room looks like, okay? Like, you don't care, guys. Like, you're like, I can care less what kind of throw pillows we have on the bed, but I know that you do, and so this is now my passion in life, okay? I love throw pillows now. So whatever your passion may be, it doesn't necessarily matter what it is. It just matters that why you do it. For instance, We just got Wellington. We just got the puppy. I don't know if I told you his name. Wellington, that's his name. We've got him, and so now my big passion in life, my big why, is I don't want Wellington to die, okay? That is my biggest why right now, okay? And so we sleep. I'm getting no sleep right now. I'm sleeping, and he's right in between us, and I'm like rolling over like every 5 minutes. Is he okay? Is he breathing? Is it okay? What's happening? I'm doing weird. I'm doing all sorts of different whats because my why is driving all these whats. It's making me into all sorts of different passions. Like I'm passionate right now about petting my dog. I do not care about your dog, okay, at all. I do not say that any more truthfully, okay? I do not care about dogs. I don't like dogs, but I love Wellington. And so now I care about petting Wellington. I don't want to pet your dog, okay? Bring your dog to me. I might even be like, I don't care. But I love Wellington. You know, some adults, we say this, like have you ever seen the movies where the girls like, I just love babies. And then their friends like, you didn't want to ever have kids, you know? But they met a guy who's like, I want to have babies. And she's like, oh, I love babies. I love babies. Babies are awesome. But have you ever seen this? I'm going to step on some toes. The single person who says, I love Jesus. But then you find out that was just really their what? Because you're their why. Not that Jesus is their why. It's just that you're the why, and they want to come hang out with you at church. And so you don't break up with them. They'll come hang out with you at church. And then make sure that you don't like, you're like, okay, yeah, I love Jesus. And then let's just say this. Like single people, this is why it's best to know and hang out with someone in a group. If you're single, I'm going to tell you real quick. If you do not hang out with these people in a group setting first, you will never know their why. Because their why will lie when they're just with you. Alright? So, for instance, passions can change, but you liking them just became the why. So anything they do, like all their whats, really change, or really won't change until, like, there's no longer a why. So the why right now is I want you to like me, but once you are attached, then you'll see that person stops showing up as much. They stop showing up to church. They stop, and if you've been around the block a little bit, you've seen this happen time after time. That someone dates someone, they're like, well, do you go to church? I go to church. Like, I go to church. And my favorite question to ask them when they bring their new boyfriend or girlfriend to church, and they're like, oh, they go to church. Like, well, what do they serve at their church? They go. Because if they had a why, if their why was Jesus, they'd be serving. And really, they just go to church. Go to church. Like we say, go to church. Like you know, someone says, I go to church. That means like, they go on Easter. And so, for instance, if you're single, let me just talk to you for a couple more seconds. Let them establish their passions. You learn their whys. And let's do this. The biggest reason for divorce is just difference in values. Difference in values. If you've been divorced, you know this, that you have different values, main core values are just not the same. If you've broken up with someone that's had you've had a long-term relationship, you broke up, it's because you had different values. It's not because you can like all the same things, but if you don't have the same why, then you're not compatible. And so let them learn about their whys and then decide if they're really worth your time. And then don't just think because they come to church that it's a passion. Watch them in church and figure out if it's a passion. Because I can tell you when you bring your little boyfriend or girlfriend up to church and you say, Pastor Alex, meet them, they're so great, they love Jesus. And then I watch them, I watch. You don't know I watch, okay? And then during the first song, during the last song, everybody else's hands lifted and they're just like, and I'm like, okay, well, next the first week, and then 6 weeks in, they're still like, I'm like, okay. No, okay. And so, we say it this way, our church, say passions are non-negotiable. We are excited, over the top, biting the bit, and blown away that we get to do this. Passion isn't an option, but is essential to our success. Excited, over the top, biting the bit, blown away. I love these words because it's so it's like, oh, yes. Yeah, I love it, okay? And so, what kind of energy, though, would that create in our church? this value. Seriously, like when you walked in and you saw everyone was just like excited, like just like, oh my God, I'm pumped to be here, okay? Like I had this kind of walk going on in the church. Like blown away, like oh my gosh, like please let me open it. I'm so honored to open this door for you. I can't believe I get to do this. Like this is awesome. Like if this doesn't describe our serving or our relationship with Jesus, then seriously, we've got some room to grow. But more than that, I would say this. I think it's really just maybe you've forgotten your why. Maybe you've just simply forgotten your why. See, here's some whys. The why is Jesus is faithful. And so I'll do whatever it takes to show other people he's faithful. The serving makes the difference. Your serving in our church makes the difference. And so it's worth it. It's a good why. A why is this: to create the atmosphere for people to find Jesus. I don't ever want to be the barrier or the thing that Jesus has to walk around in our service and in our church for him to come into the room for someone to get to know him. I don't ever want to be the barrier or the reason why someone doesn't experience God in the room. What you may not realize is you're like half-hearted, like just kind of I'm just here and not sure what I'm going through. You don't understand that people, when they come into the church for the first time, are watching the room. And they're saying, well, are they going to lift their hands? Are they going to worship? Do they even care? Should I even care? Like, can we just recognize that if you call this place your home, then you need to be passionate about this place. You need to be passionate when the first song starts. Passion starts exuding from your mouth and starts coming out. And you're like, I'm just so excited that we're finally getting to worship. When giving starts, it's a passion of mine. So I just can't wait. Right now, I wish you would have prayed a little bit shorter so I could just pray up to the front. I get 2 hands. You know, like, can we just get a little bit more passion in the room and say, this is not an option, this is essential. If we want our church to get bigger, passion is the barrier. It's the reason. It's the make the difference, okay? And so if you want to see our church explode, you want to see your friends getting passionate about Jesus, then we got to start with ourselves. Say, I need to be passionate. Does anybody believe that this morning? Some more whys. It affects people's eternity. Another why. Jesus changed my life, and I want people to find that freedom, that wholeness, that goodness, that life, that peace, that joy. It's my why. And so number one, if you're taking notes this morning, passion isn't your what, it's your why. Passion isn't the what, it's the why. If you have a bulletin this morning, there's a little part of the bottom of your bulletin. You can take notes right there. There's little blanks for you. So don't get caught up on what you're doing. Get caught up on why you're doing it. We can just get this little bit right here. It'll change your whole life. And we can stop getting so caught up on what we're doing and start getting caught up. I mean, I'm not going to give me any job. As long as my why's here, I'll do it. I'll do it all the way. Because if we have a strong why, we'll do any what with passion. Even a fun what, though, will lack passion if it doesn't have a good why. Let me say that one more time. Even a fun what, even if it's a fun thing to do, will lack passion if it doesn't have a strong why. And so when you're passionate about it, I want you to know, so here's how you know if you're passionate about something. If you make it a priority, if you go all in, if you spend as much time as it takes, if you get excited when you get to do it, when you move your schedule for it, and when you go over the top for it. See, we have this story that we read earlier at the start of the sermon that this king sees Israel at war. It says, my father, I see chariots. And then Elisha says, grab this arrow and shoot it. And then it says that he puts his hand on top of his hand and shoots the arrow with us. And he says that's the arrow of God's victory. It's very important to realize that Elisha in this story does not just represent Elisha, he represents the presence of God. And so, in order to get the arrow of victory in our life, we have to first recognize that God is fighting with us. He's shooting the arrow with us. We're not alone. And if you're here this morning, you don't hear anything else, let me just talk to you for a couple seconds. God is fighting your battles for you, with you. You are not alone. You might feel alone, you might feel like no one's on your side, you might feel like no one's on your team, no one's in your corner. I'm telling you today, Jesus is in your corner, and He's got His hands on top of your hands, and He's directing you, and He's saying, I'm going to shoot an arrow of victory over the battle you're facing. And then Elisha said, grab some more arrows, and then strike the ground. And he strikes the ground 3 times. I think this is very interesting, because if you really think about this, 3 times, he could have gone, like, But then I thought about it. Have you ever heard someone start off like an orchestra? And what do? 1, 2, 3. It could have been the most half-hearted little 3 strikes. Strike the ground. Okay. Have you ever thought about that? It could have been. It could have been, But if someone says strike the ground, and you're already not going to just do it once, and he didn't say stop, but you knew that the first thing that he said to do made the difference for the victory over the battle you were facing, why would the next thing he said, why would you go any less than all the way? If God said to you, hey, do this one thing, it's going to create a victory in your life for the next battle. And he said do something different, I'm going all in, I'm not just going to, if he says shoot an arrow, we're shooting it, we're pulling it back, Especially then he says that was the arrow of victory. I'm going, I should have shot it further, And then he says, he's like, arrow of victory, awesome, we're going to be victorious in life. And then he says, all right, so here you go, next little thing, bake some arrows on the ground. I'm not just going to go, I'm going all in. And then the man of God, or Elijah, got angry with him and said he should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times, he explained. Then he would have beat Aram until it was entirely destroyed. Now he would be victorious only 3 times. Let me just say this to you this morning. There's more at stake than you realize. I was just hitting arrows on the ground, Alex. I just hit a king, but I didn't have to, Why did you freak out? It wasn't that big of a deal, I'm just doing stuff. I was just doing what he said. I'm just working up, I'm just opening doors on Sundays. I'm just hitting a small group on Wednesdays. I'm just hitting a connect group. I'm just hitting toilets. I'm just working the computer. I'm just opening doors during service. You just don't realize what you're just doing. There's no just job in serving Jesus. We're not just doing church. We're not just loving our community. We're not just here. See, if you keep your why at the forefront of your mind, there is no just job. There's no job. But I have a strong why at the forefront of my mind. I can't just look at the things and say, I'm just doing this. It has God, it has meaning. Because see, we're going all in. I want to be a church that leaves everything on the field. I want us to leave church and be exhausted. Because we get all of it. I'm going all in. I'm opening doors like it's crazy as I can. I'm going all in. We did church like we're closing the doors next Sunday. We worship like it really makes a difference. We give it all like it's your kid who's giving up on God but is sitting on the back row giving God one more chance. See, we have passion because we can't give anything less than everything. Because how can we give Jesus anything less than all that we have? Ephesians 3:23 says, work willingly at whatever you do, as though you're working for the Lord rather than for people. You should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times. He forgot his why. See, his why. I see the chariots going for Israel. Biggest issue, he didn't see himself in the why. He saw the chariots. He didn't see himself in the chariots. He separated himself from the why. So number 2, I must find myself in the why. I must find myself in the why. This is why kids, this is why we have a millennial problem in the church. It's because Church is associated with my parents, but not associated with myself. Church is something that my parents have a value, but I don't have a value. He had every opportunity to belong to his why. You recognize this. He had every opportunity to belong to the why. See, he was king of Israel. Those were his chariots. Those were his people. But if his victory was dependent on beating the ground, he wouldn't have quit until Elisha said to quit. But he did the bare minimum because it was never his why. And it sounds to me a lot like the way that we pray for people. That we don't see ourselves in their why. Because isn't it true that when you're going through something, you want someone to really pray for you, but then when someone else is going through something, you kind of just half-heartedly pray for somebody? We've removed ourselves from the why. We've distanced ourselves from the why. Well, it's their problem. That's their thing. But when it's your mom in the hospital, when it's your kid who's fallen away from the Lord, when it's your parent, it changes things, right? Because it shifts the why. And so then all of a sudden, we start praying with a little more tenacity, with a little more passion, because it's our why. What if we were a church? We were able to put ourselves in anybody's why. Someone came up to the front and said, hey, I need prayer. We're like, man, they need prayer. We're in, guys. Get the calendar, we're going. And then we didn't just pray like someone just, they asked for prayer. Just come from, we got to pray with the kids. We're on school, you know. All right, God, touch them. Amen. But like we prayed like it really made a difference. Like they were our kids, like it was our parents, like it was our problem. We put ourselves in the why. We distance ourselves. Because after all, we're all family here. And if it's your mom, it's my mom. If it's your kid, it's my kid. We're all in this together. It's not, there's no distance here. We're all family here. And so we're all family here. And I can put my why in any one of your whys. So a lot of us, we think we've memorized the mission statement of our church. We say, Alex, that's my why. We exist to bring love, hope, and healing to the world that needs Jesus. But it's not your why until you say, I exist to bring love, hope, and healing to the world that needs Jesus. It can't be a we thing. It's got to be I thing. It can't be, you got to see yourself in the why. And then, because I exist to bring love, hope, and healing to the world that needs Jesus, I will do anything it takes to accomplish my why. We see this a lot in marriages, that we will do anything it takes to accomplish the why. We start going through some marriage problems, and all of a sudden, things start changing. What's the why? I don't want you to leave me. And then they're starting to do things that you're like, I prayed for this for years. Or you're like, maybe you're not married here, but maybe you're dating someone, and all of a sudden you're like, I think we should break up. No, we don't need to break up. I can do whatever you want. But don't leave me. I'm too lonely. But it's got to be a why. You got to see yourself in the why. Here's leadership principle. You have to lead with the why. That's Craig Rochelle thing. He says to lead with your why. For instance, Apple. Their slogan is think different. You probably don't know that. It's not like I can think that it really portray a lot, but you can tell it's a thing in the way they advertise for their stuff. For instance, you know this because if you ever see a creative person, they're not using a Mac or Windows, they want a Mac. The computer is basically the same. I know if you're like a Mac person here, you're like hating. I have one, okay? I'm with you, okay? But for real, if they made a Windows computer that did everything to the exact specification as your Mac computer, you would still go Mac if you're a Mac person, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? You know you would, okay? And it's not anything wrong with that. It's just you buy into their why. Their why is we think different. Their branding is all geared towards creative people. They don't care about office-y things. Have you ever tried to do an office thing on a Mac? It's impossible. They don't care. There's no, yeah, I have Word. I have Microsoft Word on my Mac because I have to do Word things, you know? But you bottom to the why. And so you see this in the way that they sell things. They sell to the why. They don't sell to the what. When new things come out, they don't tell you all the specifications, all this kind of stuff. They just tell you, well, this is what it can do. This is how it's going to enhance your creativity. This is how it's going to enhance your ability to make music, and to make graphics, and to paint. You know, and you're like, oh wow, I love Max. Because see, people are loyal to the why. They're not loyal to your what. So people will become owners if you can convey and let people see themselves in the why. And so when we're leading our families, when we're leading a job, when we're leading wherever we're meant to be leading, you know, we have to ask ourselves, why do I care about my job? Why do I care about this job? And why do I see value in it? And then I always ask the next question is, why should anyone under you find value in this? Because have you ever thought, like, what if my boss really asked me, like, why do you work here? and I feel like most of us are why it's just because I don't want to be homeless. I don't really like this job. It's okay. If I have my way, though, I can watch Netflix. Maybe, okay, you know you would. Don't lie to me, okay? And then, another thing is, why do you care about the things that your family values? If you're trying to get your kids to act right or to do something or get behind celebrating birthdays, it's a big deal, okay? Like why? Why should they? And then and then if you find your why, can you find a way to let your kids take ownership of that why? And then if we lead with the whys, our followers will do any what that we need. Because it's not about the what, it's not about the job. It's not about the job, it's about the why. For instance, I know that this is making a big difference, and I know speaking makes a big difference, sermons make a big difference in people's lives. And so I don't really care to just write thoughts down for 10, 12 hours a week. You know, it's not like a big one to the mind. Okay? It's a big what, but my why is not this. It's not writing a sermon. My why is I'm hoping that it's an avenue to create change in your life. And so that's a big why for me. It's not necessarily the what. Let's move on. Okay, number 3. Passion is essential to our success. If I got the band come up and join us, that'd be awesome. So he said that he should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times. Then he would have beaten Aram until it was entirely destroyed. Now he will be victorious only 3 times. But Elisha died and was buried. So we must go all in. We must remember our why. See, I won't let my attitude turn someone away from Jesus. We were at Little Caesars the other day. I know. We were at Little Caesars. There is better pizza. Better value? No. Okay? And so, sponsored ad. We're at Little Caesars and we're waiting for our pizzas to be ready. And this guy comes up to us. What did he say? He said something about, we were on our phones. That's what he did. We were on our phones. And he looks at me and Brandon said, wow, that looks like a great relationship. And I was like, you're a tool. I didn't say that. I was just looking at my phone again. And when people say that stuff to me, I don't really like me, then I want to do what I'm doing even more. I'm not going to autocorrect, and I'm going to be like, okay, yeah, I am on my phone, you know? And so he said that, and I just kind of looked over to Brown and I was like, that's kind of a mean thing to say. And she's like, I know, what a jerk, you know? And so then he orders his pizza, turns around and says, so if you guys are ever in Granbury, you should come join us at our church. What? And I wanted to say back to him was, what about your attitude makes me want to go to your church? Let me say that to you. What about your attitude makes me want to go to your church? Are we being barriers for people encountering Jesus? Or is our passion driving people closer to Him? See, I will let my attitude turn someone away from Jesus. I'm not going to let my viewpoint keep someone from experiencing the absolute best. I'm not going to let my excuses be the barrier between Jesus and someone else's encounter with him. I'm not going to let my attitude and all my junk be the thing that separates someone from knowing who Jesus is. He's too great. My why is too good for me to stand in all my junk and in the way of my why. I'm not going to get all over you because I want you to know who Jesus is. See, the why is too great. When we serve, can we go all in? See, when Jesus says jump, do we jump? When he says love, can we love? When he says give, can we give? And can we strike the ground and not just do it 3 times and say, God, I'm standing here and I'm striking the ground until you tell me to stop. I'm not going to stop because I know that when I serve, it makes a difference. I know when I have an attitude, it makes a difference. I know what I do, what you call me to do. I don't stop. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop because I know that there are people out there who need to know you. I'm all in no matter what, no excuses. Why? Why, Alice? Why do you care? Why are you screaming at me? I'm screaming at you because of the visitors that I've seen sit in the church and they never come back to our church. Because I want to leave no excuses for someone to find Jesus and find a home here in our church. Because people need to know there's hope. My why is our neighborhood that our church is in. Because there's 5,000 people who need to know that Jesus loves them. It's worth standing in the sun on a Saturday and handing out water bottles. My why is my friend David on the back row. Because he's going through struggles, but you're here. Because he told me last week that he didn't want to come 2 weeks ago. But he got out of bed and he walked in and he said it changed his entire day. My why is my Aunt Janice. Because she reminds me of the times that I didn't think that she would ever come to know Jesus. But she's here today and she serves in our church and it reminds me that anybody can find Jesus. See, my why is Jesus because he deserves everything that I have to give. So can we just begin to beat the ground again and again and again? Can we praise God like it makes a difference? Can we worship him like it makes a difference? We serve like there's nothing else that matters. See, we have the ability to make a difference. We have to be all in. See, in Webster's dictionary, you look at the word passion. It's actually really full of experience where they changed the number 1 definition in passion in Webster's dictionary. It says the suffering is the price between the night and the last suffering is death. See, the greatest show of passion is what Jesus did for us. You were Jesus' why. Hear me again. You are Jesus' why. He's willing to go through hell and come back from it for you. He was willing to be beaten 39 times in the back. He was willing to be ridiculed, have a beard ripped from his face. He was willing to go through all of the cross for you. Why? You. Because of you. Find in the Bible in John 3:16, for God so loved the world. He gave his only God's Son, so that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. So you are his why, and today he's asking you, will you let me be your why? You are my why, the cross. Can I be your why for the rest of your life? So that this morning, if you don't know Jesus, I'll give you the opportunity. When I count to 3, and just shoot your hand right up in the air, and that's just an opportunity for me to connect my faith with your faith. We have every head bowed, every eye closed. Maybe this one's super personal with you and Jesus. If that's you in the room, I'm calling your number, I'm saying your name. God wants to meet with you today. He wants to bring you into eternal life, into his love, into his passion for you. So if you don't know Jesus, when I count to 3, raise your hand right up in the air, so I can connect my faith in your faith. 1, Jesus loves you very much. 2, your life will never be the same. 3, is that anybody in the room today? Anybody need to know Jesus? Anybody need to know Jesus? Awesome, I see that hand. Any other hands in the room? If you're on YouTube, raise that hand. Anybody else in the room? Anybody else in the room? Awesome. Awesome. Let's pray this prayer together. Repeat after me. Say, dear Jesus. Come on, say it with passion. Say, dear Jesus. Thank you for loving me. Really, thank you. I'm a sinner. Savior. Come and save me. I believe you died on the cross. I believe you rose from the dead. Come be Lord of my life.